You're listening to the Teletext R Podcast, the world's first podcast about Ceefax, teledata, text-to-TV, and TV text. Mah-Mah-Max Headroom, Teletext, Sofa Club, the 2026 special.
Summer special. Ed Davies a freaking liberal. And he is.
He is, yeah.
Political
Technically
spoilers,
correct.
everybody, if you're watching this in the future, you'll be laughing at what we think's going to happen in the world. But we won't go on too much about politics. Nice to be back, Dan.
Well, it is brilliant to be back, but you say we won't go on too much about politics. But I've got to say, warning, this episode contains politics. You know that Count Binface bloke?
I'm aware of such a gentleman, yes.
He's there in the corner. You can see him.
Are you going to save your deposit? Probably not.
No, in a word, but if I could beat the Tories or the Lib Dems, that would be quite funny.
Yeah, I suppose they wouldn't find it very funny, though, would they? How many votes do you think you're going to get?
Well, I'd be happy with one.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. It is time for the Teletext R Podcast. We've been gone for a long time, but here we are. We're back. It's not a sofa club. It's a Teletext R Podcast. Do you remember that show from about 5 years ago? Well, it's back in visual form because I'm Dan. You can see me here. And that is Mr. Carlos Astral. Hi, Carl.
Hello, Dan. Good to be back.
It's good to be back in the Teletext hot seat. And it is hot at the moment, isn't it? We're just on the back end of a heat wave.
Yeah, we've had a level red alert catastrophe, but don't worry, don't panic, as the basement jacks would say. It's all very good now.
Ain't nothing going on but history.
It has been like the center of the sun for the last few days. What about you? What's the weather been up like in Makerfield?
Well, I've been on my Ceefax holiday, but here's the next best thing. Hold on, I'll stand up for you, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, there you go. The Teletext Holidays shirt. Ignore that it says Sheffield United there.
Yes. Well, why are you doing that? Why are you a Blades fan all of a sudden? I thought you were a Lactic.
No, I've changed allegiance now. For
Glory.
no reason. It's nothing to do with the fact that I've received £50,000 of funding from Teletext Holidays. No.
No. Right before the moment you said you weren't going to be anything to do with Teletext, yeah? Yeah, so I wonder what the sponsor would be for Sheffield Wednesday then. If they were Teletext Holidays, what would they be? They'd have to be Foretel or something like that.
Yeah,
And
I was going to say Teletext Holidays because they're the owls, aren't they?
The night owl service, yeah.
Night owl, yeah. Well, on the menu tonight, we have a healthy dose of Teletext Doomscrolling, followed by a dessert of Mr. Count Binface, and a couple of other things along the way, some aperitifs. What do you call them? I only ever have one course with my meals, Carl. I just eat my mains and my dessert at once on the same plate, and the ice cream melts into the chips.
That was like the school dinner, wasn't it? When you had the one plate and you could just have everything on there. That's what you're sort of describing here, Dan. You're sort of like a smorgasbord, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tonight, this is a smorgasbord of Teletext content for you.
Well, that's good. I'm quite interested to hear about this doom scrolling then. Where's all this come from then?
Well, doom scrolling. Have you heard of doom scrolling, Carl? Because, well, it didn't really exist when this podcast started in 2016, or at least the term doom scrolling hadn't been coined then. So
but we didn't understand, did we? I think that's different. I think that's the thing.
Well, we could make the argument that Teletext doom scrolling was the precursor to internet doom scrolling.
Prime and Sky, I just doom scroll all these shows I don't want to watch, and then like they make the remote control clicky. Everyone knows you're doom scrolling as well. Click, 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 and it's like, oh, I'll start at the beginning at the top, you know.
And there are a couple of studies that have showed that these short form video feeds specifically are affecting cognitive skills, even with that very short exposure. And they're small studies. I would like to see them repeated and expanded, but they do suggest that skills like being able to pause and be critical about what you're looking at, and skills like remembering to do something that you intended to do, those are the skills that we're seeing impacted by even just a short exposure to something like TikTok.
The word doomscrolling was coined in 2018, and it refers to the process of flicking through on your phone negative news stories online. We're talking about Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, that sort of thing. But also it can refer to looking through headlines. Now, these days, we're well into the information age, which was started by Teletext, the first digital interactive piece of news media. But we've moved on a lot since then. We've got access to way more news than anybody can ever consume in their lifetime. No longer is it limited to a space on a piece of paper or a teletext page, but it fills the length of your attention span. This is why people say that it can be a dangerous thing and it's quite insidious. But actually, this dates back to the 1970s. According to Wikipedia, some research was conducted into heavy exposure to violence-related content in the wider media. And then it was coined as Mean World Syndrome. And it found that media had immense power to affect one's emotions, how we think, and how we view the world around us. So 70s, that was when teletext was first birthed. But I don't know if they necessarily had teletext in mind when they were researching this.
Well, I think that you can see in today, I mean, like, the doom scrolling can be anything from actually just looking constantly at you don't even realize you're doing it. You're just flicking through the phone and you read, you never get to the bottom anymore, which is a little bit of a worry, really, because you can then pick up posts that no longer relevant, because they might have had speculation about an event that has already happened the completely opposite way. You could react, you could even necro like it. You could like something and then that'll ruin your algorithm, because get this, we've got algorithms these days. You imagine teletext with algorithm. You turn it on and it'll be like, because you are interested in the football scores, we're going to show you every single football score from every single football match. And that sort of thing. And also with the news, especially with the older members of our community, they will just have Sky News on or BBC News or anything, and it will just scroll the same stuff over and over again. And it is this sort of like this bad world syndrome that you were explaining earlier. It's sort of it just keeps hammering home the point, doesn't it?
Yeah. So it has been around for a long time, because this survey was about television. And I suppose as we went through the MTV generation, people's attention span started to shrink just a little bit with the quick cuts, etc. And if you watch a documentary from the 70s now, you think there's like room to drive a truck through certain scenes. Like, I don't know what I was watching, but it began with a guy who was walking through a field, and they lingered on it for over a minute. And I thought, there's no way that that would happen now, because the modern media consumer, I guess if you don't grab them in the first 5 seconds, then there's a chance that they might click away.
This is the Blitzer thing all over again. We're in an attention economy now, where you need to grab and capture the people's attention. I mean, God knows what you would do for a podcast like this. I mean, I listen to podcasts now, Dan, and I know exactly what's happening in the podcast before the podcast starts. And I'm thinking, why do that? I like to hear, the chemistry of the people talking and all that. I don't want to know what the hot take is until the hot take's actually done. And then they will do that, and then they'll do the explainer of what the program's about. So you actually have to fast forward like 2 minutes before you actually get to the meat and potatoes of the broadcast they're doing. And it's just a tension economy thing. Your guy walking through the field in the 1970s, documentary, he's there wandering around, and I know exactly the ones you're talking about, because I watch them on YouTube, and I think they're so well made. They give you time to think and look. It gives you the look and the feel of the place. But you won't get that now. It's bang, bang, bang. And if you look now, a camera shot, you can time a camera shot on a program. You'll be lucky to get 3 seconds on one static camera shot now before it changes.
I think we're reaching the back end of that, the natural conclusion of where Blitzer started. They've sort of become real. This guy, he was telling the future. He knew what was coming. He also had a game on the ZX Spectrum. No. But yeah, what inspired me to think about this was an article on an Austrian parody news website, Die Tagespresse, February the 12th, 2026, and this is the headline. Styrian, 63, has been sitting in front of Teletext for 5 hours. A Styrian pensioner just can't seem to escape the bad news. Since breakfast, he's been sitting on the couch, scrolling through the off teletext, chasing his next dopamine hit. It's a phenomenon that's increasingly affecting older people. So that's the introductory paragraph. It's supposed to be a kind of joke that how could you possibly doom scroll on teletext? But you could very easily do that. And I was thinking back to Nathan Dane's live stream, and we always mention how cool it is. But it's very authentic, even down to the stuff you forget, like bad things, crime, war, devastation going on in the world, backed by a wonderful piece of music. Oh. So, I don't know, did that sort of take the edge off like a Glade plugin? The edge off the bad news? In the 70s, it was people's imagination, wasn't it? Because you would just read the text on the screen, then you'd have to imagine the events that were happening. But now we've got live video, we've got pre-recorded video, everybody films everything, and we even have AI generated stuff. So we've got more than we can ever need, and we've got the ability to generate an infinite amount of it.
But I think the two subjects do often dovetail into each other, though, because it's AI that normally, in the modern phenomenon of doom scrolling, it's AI that produces the things that you're scrolling. You'll follow an algorithm, or like if I open up my Sky box, the hardest thing to get up now is the TV guide for mine, because it doesn't want you to watch linear TV. It wants you to take something that it's recommending to you, so it can prove to itself that it sort of understands how you work, I guess.
Yeah, it's that. Who said it? Are you watching the TV, or is the TV watching you? Oh, maybe it was this guy. Everything links back to Mr. Headroom, doesn't it?
I don't know what people were doing in the 60s. Were they just constantly listening to radio, constantly watching TV? What were people doing in the 40s? I guess they had a lot of bad news to listen to and read the newspapers. But obviously, what do? Do you do like a Scarfolk thing? If you don't understand it, please reread. It's sort of like, well, yeah, the stuff that you're getting now is always slightly new, isn't it? It's not always like, you with a newspaper, it doesn't really change often, I guess.
When the Times reported on our little teletext community in 2016, it entitled it Slow Tech. I think prior to the 70s, there's this sort of widespread acceptance that life was slower, etc. But I think actually what we would do was fill our lives with different things. It could have been relatively fast-paced. I didn't live then, so I couldn't say, sorry. I'm sure people of the time said, oh, these newspapers that are coming through, destroying people's attention spans, or these stone tablets that they're carving out. I know, look at the state of these. So it's all circular, isn't it? It all comes back round.
So we've looked in the past. What is the doom scrolling of the future? Are we using our fingers at all? Because the thing is, with every single thing that we experience, we talk about it as if it's sort of like the worst thing ever. But we've invited this, we've wanted it.
Yeah,
it's often free. No one pays to doom scroll, do they? I mean, no one will send their PayPal off and go, send me a mile-long ream of absolute nonsense to read. It's because it's free, isn't it? I guess that's the thing. When you want your premium content, I guess you don't doom scroll. You put the phone down and watch it, maybe, or you read what you want to read. The curation is actually a little bit more. Well, there's no curation. Would you say that when you're doom scrolling, that's curated for you, or is that completely random? It's got to be curated somehow.
It is. I would say that it's curated. Every social media service has algorithms. They'll put things in there that they want to put in there and mix that with stuff that you want to see. That keeps the advertisers happy, I suppose. And that's what keeps it free. If you look at local news websites, etc., and even a lot of national ones, everything is behind a paywall or 700 adverts.
It's all
So-
up to the dogs, isn't it? The local has, yeah.
To be fair, I haven't bought a local newspaper for a long time. I get all the information online. Kind of a dying medium, but it's just overkill on the ads because you'll have a paragraph, big ad, small paragraph, big ad. I don't know, maybe the doom scrolling, the reels is the way to go for these organizations. It's a little more insidious because you choose to go to a website, don't you, and view it. Because you choose which articles you want to see, you click on them. Whereas the algorithms serve you stuff. Just serve it up. You watch this for 5 seconds, then you watch the next thing for 5 seconds. It's that lack of control, I think. And it poses a lot of questions. In the 1970s, when we had teletext, it was a very closed system, wasn't it? It was a small system as well, curated by a team of journalists who had to go through journalism school and know the safety issues and what you can and can't write. Whereas now, it's just exploded. We have none of that anymore with the internet, and we have to be the curators. We have to look after ourselves now in a way. Ceefax was all cuddly and chummy. It might have had Gulf War news on there, but like I said, it had the nice music. But no, it was always sort of aggressively neutral, if you know what I mean. It was always very safe. Yeah, very soft and cuddly, wasn't it? Curated for you in a different way by people who knew what they were doing. BBC was not ad funded, so you like to think that they were acting in the best interests of everybody. Whereas now, if you go on Instagram, you don't know what it serves you. It's totally unregulated, isn't it? I mean, you have wider laws, but not that tighter control that the BBC had. I hope you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Maybe that's an obvious observation. I don't know.
I think what you're trying to say is that when an organisation stacks this information up for you and you're going to look for that information, it's going to provide you roughly what you're looking for. Whereas on an algorithm feed, it's more like just throwing 150 darts at the dartboard at the same time. And just having more of like a scattergun approach, I think more to your beliefs, isn't it? But there's always the risk that you actually sort of go down a rabbit hole with anything that's coming up on that, and it changes your worldview. Now, you could say that's a bad thing. You could say it's a good thing. I mean, it could be, you could have a climate denier scrolling through that and he actually sees something that actually changes his or her mind. So it's not always a bad, negative thing to do that. But it does obviously smack to the contrary thing of what social media is trying to do, because social media will feed you things that you already believe in. It will keep you in a bubble. It won't challenge. It won't challenge what you're thinking. Whereas with a newspaper or Ceefax, you know, if it was a whole article about how great the other party were doing and that wasn't your team or your political belief, you still had to read to the bottom of that page. And you didn't have a Robert Peston filling up another 150 pages afterwards telling you what he thought about it all. It was just like, here is the news, you get on with it. And, you know, you'd probably discuss it down the pub or discuss it with your workmate or something like that. Did you see Ceefax last night? Oh, that was incredible, wasn't it? You know. But, yeah, I think that's probably how that's changed. But we're still the same people, you know. It's just sort of like the way that we're treated now. I think we're treated really with contempt by media organisations. Maybe that's what it is. And it's only when you start putting your hand in your pocket that they start to give you the quality stuff that you're after. But again, you know, we ask for free stuff. We don't pay for stuff unless we really have to. And we try and get out of paying for it a lot, oftentimes as well. Ask anyone who, you know, who has or doesn't have a TV license. You could say that's your passport to impartial news, but they're trying to compete with commercial organisations. So you think, what's that about? Why are you trying to compete? You don't need to. Just tell us the news and the weather. Put on a couple of shows. Put on a couple of repeats. Don't have a news special. Don't have like news channels on and all that, you know, because and only old people watch them.
Yeah, the BBC is in a funny position, isn't it, at the moment? What's going to happen with television as we knew it? And you can look at the BBC, what happens with them as a barometer. Will the next government, whoever that is, or the next prime minister, decide that we're going to make the BBC commercial funded or something like that? I don't know. There's no point in that. There's no value in the BBC at that point because people value it for its impartiality, or at least trying to have a sort of sense of neutrality about things.
It costs a lot of money to push programs out, a big bit of iron sticking out the ground. If you could save money by actually, streaming it directly on a YouTube format where YouTube are doing all the heavy lifting of more or less broadcasting it out to you, you're going to be in this weird situation where you're providing content that you've been obliged to make for your viewer, and you'll be pushing it on a platform that will be monetizing your content. So you're in this weird situation where you might be making a documentary about, let's pick on something like like drilling for oil for and like you'll be doing that because the public appetite might be that we're interested in, should we drill for oil or something like that, and then all of a sudden they're going, well, we're not broadcasting it as such anymore, we're only putting it on YouTube and on our own streaming thing. Well, YouTube might turn around and go, well, we can't monetize that video. It's against the beliefs of the CEO of YouTube, or, we can't show the shorts on X because Elon Musk doesn't really like oil companies. Do you know what does really well on YouTube? Comedy. Comedy's timeless. You can have like not the 9 o'clock news. Sketches of that are still going on TikTok, Instagram, and they were made like, in the late 70s, early 80s, and it's because they're funny.
What's on the other side? Have a look on Ceefax. That's not a bad idea. Ceefax. Right, what's on TV now? 621. Here we go then. 630, 629, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22. Oh, it's gone up to 740 now. Come on, to me, Danny, come on. Come on. That's it. 625, 24, 23, 22. Oh, it's gone down to 512. Oh, what's the point? What's on BBC Two?
Yeah, there's a lot of Monty Python stuff, isn't there? Which people have compared Binface to Monty Python. Yeah, that always does well. Every so often, like a Two Ronnies sketch will come up and people will say, oh, they predicted this in the 1970s.
Yeah.
How could they see into the future?
Yeah. Or they'll go by the other thing, though. Oh, they would never broadcast this today, and then go off and broadcast it.
I guess that's the beauty of teletext, that it still has relevance to the things that are going on now, and we can look at that point in history and compare it to where we are now. You could say the internet is just ultra super massive mega teletext because it's everything all the time with all these different competing forces. Unregulated teletext.
I think you now hit head there, because obviously one is regulated and one is unregulated. It's when we spoke to Graham Lovelace at Teletext Holidays, was that thing he always said. He said that if you want to sell a holiday and you want it for 30 quid and that included a free beach towel, you had to have that holiday that was 30 quid with a free beach towel. That was the rules. That was regulation for you.
And those advertisers would also have to take on responsibility to be legal, decent, honest, and true. And if they're advertising a holiday for £15 in Greece for 2 weeks, that really does exist. But we then had to train all the advertisers in, if you're going to say something on this screen, which is alongside a news page, the news obviously has to be accurate and truthful.
So now I used to doom scroll teletext when I used to be off school. I think I went through every single page a few times. So yeah, it's always been there. And they'd find in the hidden pages and wondering what they meant.
Did you used to get a dopamine hit when you would flick through the pages and it would load, like you do with doom scrolling?
I guess you would indirectly, wouldn't you? Because it's like a fruit machine, isn't it? When you look at their numbers flick through, it's like a fruit machine. And if it's like going to, especially when you're waiting for the scores to come up, see how funny things used to happen to your Ceefax when something was changing. You'd be scrolling through, and then the numbers would jump because obviously some part of the magazine had updated, as we understand it now, but we didn't understand it. And you go, what's happened on Ceefax? Something's changed. let's find it, or waiting for midnight, just to see if it would switch over to the next day or when the clock's changed.
Yeah.
Such a sad person, but I did actually start 1 in the morning once to see what would happen to the clock when we moved over and went to +1 hours.
You
So,
time traveled.
yeah, time travel Ceefax, and I lost that hour, but I lost an hour. I lost an hour recently on that, actually, on a subject that we want to cover in a bit about Radio 4 Longwave. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, because that was interesting because it shut down 1 o'clock UTC, and I had to Google UTC because I couldn't figure it out because I'm old and stupid, and it resulted me staying up till 1 in the morning to record the last parts of the Radio 4 Longwave. I had my radio plugged in, and I was listening to it, and I got a recording. And
can we put a bit of that in on this podcast?
Well, quite interestingly, you can't because I messed it up.
Oh.
I plugged it into my Audacity on the PC and thought, well, I'll just have that recording, but I sent the noise gate up. So every time the announcer didn't say anything, my Audacity stopped recording. So when I played it back, he's done the shipping forecast in about 4 minutes flat. And then when the beeps come up at the end, which is the bit I wanted, they didn't go beep, beep. They went.
I hope you saved that because we've got to use that. Did you save it?
I think I did. I'll try and dig it out. I'll try and dig it out. Yeah, Cole's messed up recording.
Don't forget, comedy does well on YouTube.
Exactly right. Yeah. We could have that as one of the shorts.
Morning, the memories and the connection created endure forever. You should miss your home and crackle. Well, that's it from me, Ryan, and all of us here at Broadcasting House. If you have them, thanks for listening. Have a safe, quiet, and peaceful night. Good night. And we are. You are listening to 198 kilohertz Longwave. EDC Radio 4 is no longer available on this frequency. However, you can find Radio 4 many other ways. You can find BBC Radio 4 online via BBC Sounds. Radio 4 is available on DAB digital radio and TV digital television.
Whereas perhaps 1 or 2 people recorded the end of Ceefax, I think more people recorded the end of Longwave. Then their listening figures must have been through the roof that evening.
So would you like to talk about that now, actually, whilst we're on the subject?
Yeah, it's just basically, I think it's just an interesting parallel, isn't it? That it's sort of like, obviously we're in this world where there's sort of like what they call it an archive panic, isn't there? Of like, should we have more recordings of this, that, and the other? And I thought, well, I'll do my bit and record the last bit of Longwave. But it's another technology that we don't need that's going. But it's added to the list of things that we just can't bring back as well. So nobody. I mean, Nathan's great. He's rebuilt Ceefax at a fraction of the cost of what the BBC said it would cost to keep going. But I don't think he's got like a 1 million watt transmitter in his back garden to keep Longwave 198 going.
Well, somebody out there listening to this might have one.
Yeah, they would do, wouldn't they? Their feelings would go funny as they walk past. They'll start like they'll hear the cricket when they're rubbing a knife and fork together for their dinner or something. But it's just one of them. We're just living now in the age where things are going, I guess. And we've had Ceefax, and I guess that would I campaign to keep Longwave going? Well, I don't really know enough about it, to be fair. You can get your cricket on Sports Extra and things like that. I don't think I listen to 198 Longwave too much, but a lot of people do. Like Longwave, you'd get obviously for the shipping forecast, but the shipping forecast is broadcast on 156 800 channel 16 anyway on marine channels. So it's not like they're losing it, but it's just a comfortable friend that someone's lost, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a little bit like that with Ceefax, wasn't it, really? Because these forms of media, like radio and Ceefax, you form two different types of connection with them. You've got the physical connection. If you use them every day, for example, I would listen to the cricket on Radio 4 Longwave, and it would be sort of interrupted by the shipping forecast. But that cements itself as a memory, doesn't it? And that is the emotional connection that you have with the medium. For example, with teletext, you might be sitting in your granddad's living room. He's got Radio 4 Longwave on. He's got teletext cricket score on at the same time. Then you've got both of those connections that form a memory.
How often, I think I remember the Ashes summer. Yeah, we won the Ashes, and I think it happened during the shipping forecast.
Oh, yeah. Oh, listen, I was glued to that series on the TV when cricket used to be on free-to-air television, by the way.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
An age ago. It was such an amazing series that I was literally on the edge of my seat watching it with both of my fingers, all of my fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Ah.
And that was anyway. That was the hugest act of self-harm going, wasn't it? Because that was the best series going, and then everybody was into cricket, and they go, it's all on Sky now.
Ah, no, yeah. I don't mind Sky's coverage. The problem is you have to pay a lot to get it.
But you're not part of it, Dan. That's the thing. I mean, like, people saw Graham Gooch's 333 on BBC Two, but people didn't tune in for that. They were tuning in for something else, but the cricket happened to be on, and it's a shared experience. It's like, I changed the sport, but snooker with Dennis Taylor and, winning it against Steve Davis, I think it was 85 or 86. It's because it was on the telly. Whereas now I turn that on. Like, I've had the Grand Prix, didn't watch that. I've had the cricket, I haven't watched that.
Yeah.
Come up here talking about teletext, really. They need to be like thrust into the TV. But this goes back to like Radio 4 Longwave and things like that. People knew South Azira, North Azira, German Bite and all that because they loved the cricket.
Yes, yeah.
They knew Lundy, Thames, Humber.
If you were just listening to that, you'd think, oh, those are cricket fielding positions. It's it wonderfully to Sky there. And there is no run.
That is the ultimate smash, isn't it? That's you could have like the fielding, like, and they go, oh yeah, there's a long off, mild to moderate, leg before wicket, moderate to high, clearing, pressure rising.
The tripping forecast.
Now I've made a tripping forecast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Oh dear. Oh, you've done your homework here, Dan. It's very good. Very good.
93's 1800 Wednesdays. The area forecasts for the next 24 hours. Viking, Northern Sarahs, Southeast Coast. 75% occasionally age in Northern Sarahs.
But yeah, that's all I wanted to say about Longwave.
You brought it up that Teletext continued afterwards because of the people who loved it and used it, the community. And I'm sure the ham radio community will sort of continue those traditions of longwave radio. Maybe we should wrap it up. I have other questions, but maybe I should Google them, like about regulation and things like that. But I think we should probably move on.
In the comments, guys, in the comments. Add in the comments if you want us to do another one of these. Write stuff in the comments, and if you're rude, then obviously we won't make any more ever again. Well, no, I've got my fingers crossed.
We'll go away.
We'll go away. We'll never
come back. Yeah.
What was it about Makerfield that made you want to stand?
Not that I don't want to enjoy the wonders of the Three Sisters racing circuits, or the Monaco Ballroom. I've done my research, Claire. But, we'll just have a lovely snoop around Hindley. Why not? Lovely places. But I'm honest, and the reason I'm here right now is there's an election on. If you read my full manifesto, I will legislate for the immediate return of Ceefax and all teletext services, including the Oracle, Foretels, and, of course, the Bamboozled quiz. The good people of Makerfield can vote old Vinny in, right? Let me take out the trash for the rest of this parliamentary term, and then, it could vote someone else in if they don't like me in the next election. So play them at their own game. That's what I say.
So, what has been going on in the adventures of your world there, Dan? I noticed there in the corner, you've got some lovely teletext artwork, and in the other corner, follow the finger, we got Vote Binface. So, tell us about our teletext champion. I believe that he wanted to bring teletext back for the Greater Manchester area. Ceefax he wanted to bring back.
Specifically Ceefax, yes.
If Count Binface had children then, would he ban them from watching ITV? Is he that sort of parent?
I don't know, but there's one of his children behind me.
The mum was clearly shiny.
Yeah, the mini bins. 9 years ago, I think it was, that I first found out about Count Binface. Back then, he was Lord Buckethead, who was a sort of novelty political candidate. He ran in the 80s and the 90s. And then Mr. John David Harvey brought him back in the 2010s. But then there was a little bit of a spat, because did you know that Lord Buckethead is a copyrighted character? He was from a film called The Gremloids.
The Gremloids.
And indeed, he ran under the Gremloids party.
Ah.
But the owner of the copyright came and said, hey, no more of that. So Binface was born, a complete rip-off of Buckethead. It's completely different.
Surely the guy would have been happy that someone watched his bloody film. I never heard of that.
Yeah, well, look it up. Yeah, Lord Buckethead, he's got his own film. When's Binface going to be in his own film? Hopefully soon.
These political dramas, he'll be in one of them ones, like they had one about Thatcher, didn't they, her biopic and all that. And I'm sure when Johnson's term comes, they'll need someone to play Binface at the and Theresa May's as well at Maidenhead. So he's been about, hasn't he? So who would play him in these dramas though? That'd be very, very interesting. So he's been up at Makerfield then. Is it your constituency or is it something that's local to your area?
It is indeed my constituency, but I'll just jump in on that and say, I think the guy who should play Binface in the film is the drummer from Angine de Poitrine, the math rock band, because he very much looks like him, but with the long proboscis.
I find them so fascinating to look at, but I think they should play Count Binface, definitely.
Angine de Poitrine. Anyway, so back to Binface. Yeah, 9 years ago, I was running an escape room in Wigan.
Did you get out of it in the end?
Yeah, I did. Yes, I did. So I was organizing this event. I was looking on Twitter and I found this article about a guy dressed as Lord Buckethead who wanted to bring back Ceefax. He was running in a local council or a local by-election. And I thought, oh, that would be good if we could get him up here to do the escape room. Yeah. But then I didn't really think about it again until 2019 when Binface contacted me and asked if I would do a couple of teletext pages for him. Since 2017, I've wanted to vote for him. But this year was my opportunity because he ran in my local constituency here in Makerfield, which nobody had ever heard of. This pokey little town, this little backwater that nobody knows about. And then all of a sudden, you've got all these TV cameras descending upon your local area. Your flavor of the month. Canvassers visiting your house every day. In previous elections, you would get the literal candidates would walk around and they would come to your doorstep and talk to you. But this by-election was too big for that. So we got just representatives. But they were here every day. They were doing the canvassing to see who was going to vote for who. With the clipboard, who are you going to vote for? Can I ask who you're going to vote for? That sort of thing. It makes you feel wanted in a way. Finally. And all these places, oh, I go there. It's on TV and you can see them in the background. A particular place that was used a lot, a backdrop, was this balcony in a place called Ashton in Makerfield, with these apartments. And it has 3 England flags and 2 Wigan Athletic flags. So Wigan Athletic were on the news. Hey! Well, just pretend I'm not wearing this shirt. Wigan Athletic were on the news.
With Count Binface then, did you manage to say hello to him while he was out on the hustings at all?
He was up here. He was very busy and had a lot to do, but I did get the chance to speak to him. He's a lovely guy. I just think that Binface is really funny. Humor's one of those subjective things, isn't it? But he's got that adversarial Darth Vader type of vibe to him. And he can be very cutting and harsh when he wants to be. And he's equally harsh towards everybody, I feel. You know, that drives the clicks as well, doesn't it? Because you've got supporters from all sides who might love him for trashing a certain person.
Yeah.
So he's got a diverse following, Mr. Binface, from all sides of the political spectrum, which is very interesting. This man with a bin on his head unites everybody.
Yeah, he's a touchstone, isn't he? Really, for everybody, because my favourite part of his manifesto was it? I'm going to lower your taxes and raise everybody else's.
The Star interviewed him. The interviewer asked, "So how's that going to work exactly? How much tax will I pay?" He said, "A reasonable amount, just a little bit less than everybody else."
Turning back to your manifesto, you've said that you will cut my taxes and raise everyone else's. How much tax can I expect to pay?
Yeah, well, let me just clarify that. I will cut your taxes and raise everyone else's. Make that absolutely clear. They're not just yours, Meg. It's for everybody. This is a blanket thing. I will cut your taxes and raise everybody else's.
Okay, so how much will I pay?
A reasonable amount, but just less than everyone else.
Okay, and how much will everyone else pay?
A little bit more than you.
Okay.
It's just so funny. And one of his manifesto pledges was to move the hand dryer in the Crown and Treaty Uxbridge to a more sensible position, which is a policy that he's been campaigning on for the entirety of his 9 years in politics. Even though he's been to Yorkshire, he's running Richmond as well, and he's now running Makerfield. That policy has stayed on his manifesto. And he was the only candidate, by the way, in this election, this by-election, to have a manifesto.
Yes. Yeah, you actually knew what you were getting with him. So in my part of the world, depending on events, politics is all about events, but there is a possibility that he could be running against Carol Vorderman and Nigel Farage.
Carol Vorderman?
Yeah.
Who's she going to run for? The Countdown Party?
Well,
Boom.
but yeah, it'd be interesting to see what would happen there, because I'd love to say hello to the guy myself and see if he can bring back Ceefax for the tendering area for Clacton and surrounding environs. He would have my vote for that. But yeah, he's a really, really good bloke. Really good bloke.
He did win the by-election, incidentally, and he's going to be our first Prime Minister.
Of course.
Yeah, so Mr. Binface has run against 3 previous prime ministers. I think they're Boris Johnson, Theresa May, and Rishi Sunak. And I'm sure when he saw that Andy Burnham was running, whose people are tipping to be the next prime minister, he thought...
He's the mayor of Manchester, isn't he?
Yeah,
Or he had to vacate that position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very popular in this area, sort of a household name. I'm glad I warned people at the beginning that this show contained politics, because it's pretty much all about politics, isn't it? With the doom-scrolling regulation and also Mr. Binface. So I will say that I made a couple of teletext pages for him this time. So there's the teletext manifesto and a little Binboozle quiz that you can go and have a look at, which are...
Your last one went on the last leg, didn't it? The one that you did for the previous selection that he was in, and that just went absolutely mad. They loved it, didn't they? They loved it.
Yeah, it's awesome seeing Binface in the media. He was mentioned in a question on Only Connect. You know you've made it when you're a question on Only Connect.
and will he do Have I Got News For You? That's the other thing as well.
That's it. It's long overdue as far as I'm concerned. He's very quick-witted, unlike a lot of politicians. He can come up with something very cutting on the spot. In his interview with Sky News on the night of the election result, he was asked, "So are you from Makerfield?" And his response was, "Why does that matter? Are you?"
Yes, yeah.
Which is exactly the answer that a politician might give when they are really struggling for something to counter an interviewer's question.
Do you live in the constituency?
I do tonight.
Well, it sounds as though you don't.
What do you?
No, of course not. I don't live here, no.
So why should I?
I think on his manifesto, I'd let you into a bit of a secret for people out there who, don't live in Makerfield. One of his points was to rephase the lights on Liverpool Road. That works as a joke, as in it's just like a really hyper-local thing. But local residents might know that the lights on Liverpool Road have just been rephased, and it took them absolutely bloody ages to do it.
So was he going to rephase them yet again, or was
Yes.
it just... Oh, right. So he was actually quite unpopular then, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Binface holds a very important role because he's holding our politicians to account. Account. Hey, account. Because, exactly as you say, he can write what he likes, he can satirize things.
He can just go around and say what he likes, no fear of
Yeah.
smashing anything up.
Yeah, so I did speak to Count Binface, and I've got to relay this to everybody watching right now. He was very praising of the teletext community. He said one of the best things about becoming Count Binface is that he discovered that there was this community of teletexters, the teletext artists, engineers, people who are keeping Ceefax's memory alive, and particular praise for Nathan Dane's Ceefax service, which he's a massive fan of. But yeah, he wants to thank everybody, all of you watching right now, and listening.
Yes, enthusiasts. Yes, it's
Yeah.
enthusiasts that keep this country going.
Yeah. Yeah, and he was the best of the rest in the results, wasn't he? In the actual results, just below the Liberal Democrats. All the sort of established parties were above him, but then he was next, and he beat the monster raving loony candidate, Howling Lord Hope. Yeah, I never thought I'd see him running in my local constituency. Crazy.
What about the fox? What was it?
The
The
fox.
fox representing? Yeah.
Hunting, something to do with Save British Wildlife. That's what it was.
I found it interesting what Count Binface said on Sky by accident, wasn't it? He said, "There's a fox there." He goes, "Yep, there's always a fox there, fucking bin."
To answer your point, yes, it is a little bit touchy. And I was thinking of including in my manifesto, make your holiday, included in my manifesto for 2021 to have air conditioning as standard in all mascot buskers.
But I think everyone in here, especially this chap next to you, would also agree with that.
I think whenever there's a bin, there's a fucking fox. Oh, excuse me. I do apologize. You'll have to
You need a beat there.
Yeah, sorry. I do apologize.
Yeah.
Excuse my language.
Oh, and he did. He had to say that, didn't he? And because the interviewer said, "Oh no, you can't say that. No, sorry about that. Sorry."
He's quite gracious in that, I think.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? Because he's got good intentions, I think, deep down. Mr. Face, Mr. B Face. And I do look forward to seeing him on TV. He's a perfect guest or host for Have I Got News For You? And I'm very surprised that he hasn't been on there yet. Very surprised.
I think the demand for him to do it would obviously will be quite heavy at the moment. But
He's a busy bin. He's a busy bin, He's got all sorts.
he's a busy bin, but we also know that's bloody show business as well, because once you're out the limelight, you're you're off social media for a week. That's an eternity.
Yes, yeah.
And it's that's why you get all these hot takes from people all the time, because they're keeping their profile alive.
Discover Eurosport's new teletext service. Sports results, news, statistics, and the TV schedule. All the major European football leagues, motorsports, horse racing, tennis, athletics, and more. It's as easy as pressing the text button on your TV remote control.
One thing I did want to bring up today, because we haven't spoken for literally a year almost, really, is that so a new phenomenon has come out where I've got a new app on my phone called Telescore.
Oh, yes.
It's no longer a new app. It's been going for a while, but it's more or less authentic as what the lay people would call, as near authentic experience of teletext going. And I was just, it's just interesting on how that's been implemented. That was the app that I was absolutely crying for 10 years ago, where you had the live scores and all that coming in. It's even got a video printer on it now. I think it's now doing the county cricket. And does anybody know who's doing it in the community at all, Dan?
First of all, I will say that I'm very impressed by Telescore. A few months ago, they were doing YouTube streams like Nathan does with his service, but it's primarily an app, as you say. Yeah, it's sort of filling a niche. People always say, they come on social media and say, I would pay for an app that gives you goal updates like Ceefax used to, which has been vacated for a long time, really. You've got the pages on the BBC website, but is there even a video printer anymore on the BBC website? You can look at the scores, but it's not the same, is it?
No.
Because it doesn't all fit on one screen, or it won't for me on my TV downstairs.
No. But it is something that I didn't try yesterday. I was away at an event yesterday, and I was at the time of recording, we were a day after England's played a World Cup match. What it never occurred to me was that I was trying to load the BBC Sport app, which had all this management data and all that on. Even the light version's got to load up everything going. So it was like, this page isn't available, please retry, because like absolutely everybody in the arena is taking videos and all that and stuff. But I could have just turned Telescore on, because that's such lightweight, that would have taken hardly any data. And that's where Telescore actually comes into itself. It's doing the same heavy lifting that Teletext would do. It's very low footprint on data. That is perfect. They're light apps for when you're like in a high, all the bandwidth is used up. That would have carried on working. And that's where it's got a practical use today. It's not just for nostalgia. If anyone's watching this podcast and goes, well, this Telescore, what's that about? I'll say, get it, because next time you're at a football match and at halftime you want the halftime scores, or halfway through in a match you do, put Telescore on, because there's hardly any data that's needed to run that. So, you haven't got to wait for everything else to load up. So I think it's really good. But the way that it's been implemented, it seems to be that it's been done very well. And I know that Nathan was doing live scores and all that. And, it's quite a tough science to crack. It wasn't always fast when Nathan was able to do it, because it was having to scrape from certain sources. So I don't know how this guy's managed to do it, but bang, he's like straight on the goals go in as they're scored. So I don't know what, I think it's an API or whatever. I think that's the term that the programmers use, but whatever he's using, he's serving him very well. Maybe one day we can get him on for a quick 5 minutes,
Yes.
Because I think he does advertising on there, and I think he does well on that, hopefully. I hope he does do really well, because what he's done is he's become the placeholder for it, and it is very authentic teletext. Not like the twats that did the McDonald's adverts a couple of years back, and they completely made a pig's ear of it. He is following the teletext format rules, so he's all right by me, or she. I don't know who it is, but they're doing all right by me. They got the Teletext R seal of approval.
Yeah, there's a very good point to be made there about how in this age where more and more data centers are being opened, we go back to lightweight things like that are sort of easier on the local environment, shall we say?
Oh, yeah. So from an environmental point of view, yeah, you're probably being more environmentally friendly, of course.
Yeah. As we go 100 years into the future and resources become more scarce, then Teletext will be back. I'm still waiting for Teletext to come back. I think about it. I plan it in my brain about how when the internet dies, Teletext is going to come back. We're going to erect these big towers, and we're going to broadcast pirate Teletext out to everybody in the UK. Longwave Teletext. It's all coming back.
There's the title, Longwave Teletext. That's brilliant. But no, you're right. And getting onto the data center argument, data centers obviously need a lot of cooling. We've had a red alert for critical infrastructure, and then what they're talking about there is they don't care about flesh, they don't care about humans. When they say critical infrastructure, they are talking about data centers. Well, while we're giving AI a kicking, a great musical band, I've seen some artwork you've done actually on this. Is it? And I'm going to say Angine de Poitrine, because I'm always very good at getting things pronounced badly. But I think we've agreed that that's probably the right way. I can't get my Alexa to say that. When I play that, it says, "Oh, here's some music. This is Angie from like,
Angine. Angine.
So I've had to train it as a skill now, and I say play my French band, and then it comes on. But
they're not French though; they're Canadian.
Oh, really?
Ah.
Oh, look, there's the face palm. Oh, there you go. There's the thumbnail. There you go. Thank you for teaching me that. I actually did not know that. Thank you.
They're French Canadian.
Oh,
from Quebec.
French Quebec.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think you were making a point about Angine de Poitrine being a remedy, an antidote, or a product of anti-AI.
Yes, a reaction to AI, because now AI can, for even the uninitiated, they can make a tune or a rhythm or something. That's my understanding of it. It's moving true artists to the boundaries where the AI it hasn't got enough information to learn about things. So the thing that I was getting at with that group is that they were pointed out to me by my son. He said, these are absolutely brilliant. Look what they're doing here. Look at this. They shouldn't be able to do this. The chord patterns they've got are not the chord patterns that you're trained to do. Have a listen, and I listen. They've got the costumes on, obviously, so I'm watching that. So you're mesmerized. Your central lobes there is mesmerized by that. But it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, and they're using notes that shouldn't exist. They're having to make half of half notes and things like that, things that don't exist yet. They're making them, and it gets me back to a point where before the advent of the camera, your painter was painting portraits of people, but then when the camera came out, people were going, well, I don't need you to paint, I've got the picture now. So painters then moved into new areas. They had to find new areas because technology had taken their space, so they had to find new life somewhere else. Within the invention of a camera, within 80 years of the invention of the camera, you've got Dadaism, Picasso, you've got Andy Warhol, Jackson Pollock. You've got all these people that have moved to the edge of space because technology has taken up the main core of what their thing was. And I think that's where Angine de Poitrine are going to be. They're there because of AI. So without AI, you wouldn't have them, I think. But now that you've got them, they're brilliant, absolutely brilliant. This AI business is probably it's inevitable, But we evolve, we move on. So yeah. Well, your thoughts on that, then?
Yeah. So Angine de Poitrine, I think we could see now a revival of math rock. They've sort of popularized it massively. And it's definitely a combination of the unusual tunes with the unusual costumes as well. They're like Mr. Blobby, aren't they, in a way? And they're doing these amazing feats, all well dressed up in these strange costumes, which obviously I couldn't do that because it'd get in the way. The massive schnoz on the drummer. Well, mine is almost as long as his now.
Yeah.
That's why I can no longer play guitar. No, in regards to AI is becoming pervasive, isn't it? It's been around for a long time. You even interviewed Mr. John Adams about it, didn't you? In one of your previous Byte High No Limit podcasts, Teletext People.
Yes.
And he brought up AI and its potential. I think he's quite into AI, isn't he? And that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was researching neural networks in the 70s, wasn't he? So it's a very, very genesis of AI. But I think we, as the people of the earth, we've got the power to choose where we can apply it and where it doesn't need to be applied. Because right now we have this boom because it's this exciting new thing and everybody wants to apply it to everything. It's like radium. Do you remember the radium craze?
Yeah. Let's make everything radioactive.
Yeah. And then everybody died because of it. But yeah, and we don't know the sort of long-term effects of this yet, do we? And we've got generative AI. As a society, are we going to choose to accept it and use it like in music production? Because it opens up more possibilities, it makes things easier for people? Or are we going to reject the idea of these robots creating art? People look at that and say, well, look at that wonderful artwork. Isn't it better than what you could do? So who defines what is better? What is objectively better? Is a teletext artwork better than Picasso? Possibly, because it depends on what you glean from it. It's a very subjective thing, isn't it? I think there could be a place for AI-generated art, as long as it's separated from human-made art, you know. But right now, I think it's a very, very interesting time because humanity is just deciding where it should be applied, where we need it, and
what I'd like to do is one day, if I had the power, bring back Salvador Dali and get him to type into AI what he's thinking, because there's a guy that used surrealism, two completely unconnected things together was always the joke, wasn't it? It's plastic trees and things like that. It all comes from surrealism. But they're terms you can actually type into Gemini right now, and it will make you an image of that, and you would look at that and go, "How original!" You'd go, "That is original. That's original thought right there," because someone's had to think of that. And although the means of it is being produced by something that's taking its influences from everywhere else, it's the original thought that created the artwork.
Right.
So it's not fair on the people that have gone to art school, but it's art in a way, because you're thinking of that. I was working on a fun cover for this show, and it took me no time at all, with no artistic, thing there. It was actually harder to try and look at the thing and convince the program that I don't want this thing. And then by the time I was telling it what I didn't want, it didn't know that it put it on there. So it was a stupid question to ask it. So the skill comes in actually on treating the thing not even a 3-year-old. It is actually quite literally one of Asimov's bloody robots.
Yeah.
You have to start all over again with it. It's like a computerized Baldric. So yeah, it's quite interesting, really. I think everyone loves to hate AI, and I think quite for the right reasons, But it's been put to me that somebody who, someone isn't necessarily replaced by AI, but someone who doesn't use AI will be replaced. And I think that's where we're going to get to in the workplace.
It certainly has already happened, and it's going to continue to happen.
I feel sorry for the people that create stuff, and they've got to even use a computer now, you're ticking and agreeing to terms that are probably saying you've now given us permission just to use all your content in a large language machine.
Yes.
Even to the extent now that, when I type things in that reference previous teletext efforts that I've done, I've felt vindicated in the stuff that I've done by interviewing people and making the documentary with you. I feel vindicated by it, because when you're typing in terms into Gemini or Gen AI, it's using our documentary. It's using all the things that we've done as a community for block parties, and I'm talking about Nathan, and I'm talking about Jason. It's using all these people as their touchstone, as their point of truth. And I'm so relieved for that, because if a community didn't club together and do that, God knows where it would have invented about teletext. If the enthusiast wasn't there to build the world for it to be scraped, God knows, you wouldn't want to think where teletext has come from. I was invented by IBM, or it's a ticker tape thing, which you still get on some really crude searches. Providing us slaves to the internet are giving it good content. But again, I was quite pleased that it is referencing some of the stuff that we've done in a world where we didn't really know more, or Ian or anybody like that in the early days of teletext. Would the internet freely volunteer those names as if in a world where we weren't about to profile these people?
Yeah, and I think you could see that for any niche community, couldn't you? For radio, for TV, for rail enthusiasts, chess. If we go back to the things that are gone, like vintage things, people keeping that alive, people going on BBC News because they have the largest collection of vintage toasters or something like that. They are the ones who preserve the authenticity of the original item.
Yeah.
In a way, because it's as if an alien came down to Earth and saw a radio, and they were just told, well, you listen to it. They would make up the rest of the stuff for themselves, wouldn't they? They'd have to...
They'd fill the gaps.
Yeah.
Try putting bread in the top of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. We're looking at this wireless set. I mean, of course, the BBC available on all the other platforms. Does it change the connection that people have given the way that they receive it?
I don't think it makes a huge difference. I think you have to move with the times. Certainly, the sound quality is better with DAB.
But was there
online.
a charm to maybe some of that?
Yes,
fuzz?
there was a charm, but I think you've just got to say how many people actually have a long wave receiver now, and there aren't enough of them to justify it. But for radio amateurs, I mean, I represent the Radio Society of Great Britain, which is a national organisation. We are interested in the whole range of frequencies, from long wave up to microwaves. And are not just for cooking, can be used to talk to people as well.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody listening, I hope that that wasn't too much politics for you to stomach in a Teletext R podcast. But yeah, thank you for listening. And yeah, hopefully next time we'll actually have something to speak about, won't we, Carl?
Yes, it's been a nightmare sitting here for about an hour not saying anything.
I know.
Really painful, but mate, it's been really good to have a catch up with you again. And, you know, we'll look forward to any comments and stuff. You can get me on Instagram. I think I'm Teletext R, aren't I, on Instagram, Dan?
Yeah, it was a joy to reconnect with your accounts that I'd forgotten that you had. It's been going for like 8 years or something, hasn't it? And it archives all your artwork, your Teletext artwork.
Yeah. This is it. It's just a place where it lives. And the activity goes up if I'm on leave at work. But I just go through the computer, and it's a place to keep it in case, you know, I don't find it anywhere else. But yeah, no, if anyone can just throw us a follow, I'll feel validated and very happy.
Is it just Teletext R, all one word?
Carlos_Teletext R.
Yes.
Carlos_Teletext R.
Stand by for switching. Get tuned to Radio 2.
2LO calling.
This is direct television.
This is London. BBC Radio 2. Billed as the greatest show on earth.
One thing's never going to change.
Radio 2. Go.
I remember sitting waiting for the football results a lot on Ceefax, and then Janice Janine came up with a beauty. Remember trying to look for a holiday on Ceefax? It was pretty spontaneous as well, wasn't it? It wasn't like holiday 6 months down the line. It was like, tomorrow you can leave for Formentera. It's going to be 65 quid. You've got to go in 10 minutes, that kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. I have heard, remember when, if you typed in 888 on Ceefax, it brought up subtitles. Good times. Subtitles on Ceefax. Lewis, the trucker from Guildford in Surrey. Vern, I remember page 300 was sport generally, and 302 was football. Jonathan says, don't forget the dating pages. Imagine the dating pages with a very pixelated picture. Vern, I think the quiz was called Bamboozle. 10 questions used to play at my granny's house, says Nikki. Vern, my dad used to put loads of holidays on Ceefax, and then my mum would cancel them the day after, says Selena. So there you go. Ceefax was shut down on the 22nd of October, 2012.
Before we go, I just want to point something out that when I use my tablet, I dictate to it and tell it what to do. But I've noticed that while doing that, I've developed a certain voice. And it's not the same as this podcast voice. I've noticed that while dictating to my devices, I've developed a certain voice that my iPad will understand over enunciating words to the max. Headroom. It's weird because it reminds me of people who subtitle live TV shows because they have to speak like this all the time and they have to make sure that the robot can hear you. I'll put in a clip of that actually as well. It's very interesting.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, see.
Today I'm on a journey around the county of East Sussex, but it's going to be a little bit different, full stop.
There are two types of subtitles, those that are pre-recorded, mostly accurate and synchronized with speech, just like on See Here. Then there are those that are live, that mainly use a technique called respeaking, and can often be delayed and prone to spelling mistakes and incongruous words.
A nationwide general strike in Greece is expected to ground flights, shut down schools. This is the 7th general strike that Greece has had in the past year, and it has been 12 months of austerity, full stop. I can't just talk into the microphone as I'm talking now in a natural way. The software's not sophisticated enough to recognize what I'm saying. We have to make sure each word is very, very clear and defined. The sound of one word doesn't slip into the following word. So it's almost like a slightly robotic way of speaking, a very unnatural way of speaking. They ignored the unions, and so all the shouting today is going to be for nothing, full stop.
Yeah. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I hope you don't go into a doom scrolling mode after this. If anything, let this be a warning to you to vote for Binface.
If you're doom scrolling something, make sure you're doom scrolling this bloody video.
Yes, we're going to put out 60 shorts made from this video.
Yeah.
And you need to go through them all one by one, listen to them. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're all going on a Ceefax holiday. No internet for a week or two.
Pixel sunsets and blocky oceans. 3D print, there are subtitles too.
And page 302. We're going where the CRT shines bright. We're going where the cyan is blue.
We've seen the pixel palm trees, so let's
see if they're true. Everybody loves a Ceefax holiday. Bed and breakfast in Blackpool.
Run down guest house in Army Stornoway in your garden for 5.22.
Or sunny Wagadoo Goo. Pixel dreams come true. We're going where the CRT shines bright. We're going where the cyan is blue.
We've seen the pixel palm trees, so let's
see if they're true. Do you remember Ceefax Holidays? Buying tickets at the crack of dawn.
Endless coach tours in Outer Alderton.
Glorious beaches of Avignon.
We're not having you on. We're not having you on. Do you remember Ceefax Holidays? Buying tickets at the crack of dawn. Endless coach tours in Outer Argleton. Glorious beaches of Avignon. We're not having you on. That's good, isn't it?
Hey, Mr. Businessman, what is the reason for your suitcase? Come on. Hey, Mr. Businessman, what is the reason for your suitcase? Come on. Come on. The reason that we're here. Come on. The reason we all cheer. Come on. The reason we all fear. Hey, Mr. Businessman, why is the room somebody's case?